Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. Yeah, today we're gonna tackle something pretty universal:
Oh, yes.
family.
Yeah.
And we're diving into excerpts from this podcast called "The Heart of Home"
Okay.
with these two hosts, Emma and James, and we're gonna sort of see if we can uncover some of the golden nuggets they have to say about what makes this foundational element of life so impactful.
Yeah, it's interesting how they position family right off the bat,
Yep.
as this grounding force, the space where we first kind of understand, who we are and where we find that initial sense of belonging.
Mm,
But it makes you think, right,
right.
why is family, whether it's the one we're born into or the one we choose, so crucial to that, feeling of belonging.
Right. It's more than just sharing a last name or living under the same roof.
Right.
And they touch on that too, the idea that family isn't limited to blood relations. But I think what really struck me was their point about family being where we build our values and traditions and memories.
hmm
It's almost like weaving a shared history, you know?
It's a beautiful analogy.
Yeah.
But, it makes me wonder,
Yeah.
does that weaving ever unravel?
Hmm.
What happens when families experience conflict or maybe even estrangement?
Right?
Does that shared history become a source of pain rather than connection?
That's a great question. And one I bet a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah.
Definitely not always sunshine and roses. And I think Emma and James acknowledge that too. But
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into the challenges, I wanted to touch on something else that really resonated with me. They're examples of family traditions.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Emma talked about making gingerbread houses every Christmas.
Yes?
And James mentioned Sunday dinners. It's fascinating how these rituals, big or small, can, create a sense of continuity and identity,
Mm-hmm.
especially when life throws those curveballs, right?
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
this comforting anchor in the storm.
It is.
Mm.
And thinking back to what Emma said about gingerbread houses, it made me wonder if you have a tradition that triggers a strong sensory memory for you.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe a particular smell or a sound that just takes you right back.
Absolutely. For me, it's the smell of pine needles and wood smoke
Oh, wow.
from our annual camping trip.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it instantly evokes memories of, campfire stories and laughter and that feeling of just pure joy
Yeah.
being surrounded by nature and family.
I love that.
Yeah.
It really speaks to how traditions go beyond just the activity itself.
Yeah,
They tap into something deeper, something emotional and almost primal.
for sure.
But like we were saying earlier, family life isn't always idyllic.
Right.
Emma and James spend a good chunk of time talking about how challenges like financial struggles or health crises
Mm-hmm.
can actually strengthen those family bonds.
Right. And this is where they bring in the idea of resilience. How
Yeah.
facing those challenges head on together can forge a deeper sense of unity and strength. It's almost like, each obstacle overcome adds another layer to that foundation we were talking about earlier.
Right. It's not just about gritting your teeth and bearing it, is it?
No.
They talk about communication being key.
Mm-hmm.
That ability to openly share concerns and listen to each other and find solutions together.
Absolutely. And to add to that, they highlight unconditional love as this crucial element. Not just saying, I love you, but truly showing up for each other, offering support without judgment, and creating that safe space where everyone feels heard and understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Huge.
it is.
It's so important.
And it's powerful.
Yeah. And it's powerful.
Absolutely.
Really is.
It's knowing that no matter what you're going through, your family has your back.
Absolutely.
But as we were saying, earlier, families are made up of individuals, and individuals aren't perfect.
Yeah. Right.
We mess up, we make mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes hurt the people closest to us.
Yeah, and that's where forgiveness comes in.
Uh-huh.
Truth actually talks about this quite a bit, the idea that, holding on to grudges and resentment can really poison those family bonds. It's
Yeah.
like a crack in the foundation, and if it's not addressed, it can eventually lead to complete breakdown.
Forgiveness is definitely a tough concept, especially when you've been deeply hurt.
Yeah.
But I think what they're getting at is that it's not about condoning the action.
Right.
It's about releasing those negative emotions that are holding you back from truly connecting with your family. It's about choosing to move forward together.
It takes courage and a lot of emotional maturity, but the potential payoff is immense.
Yeah.
It's not an easy fix, but it's a step towards, healing those cracks and rebuilding that sense of trust and connection.
Right.
And speaking of connection, Emma and James really delve into the unique nature of love within a family.
Yeah.
It's not always grand gestures or, effusive declarations, is it?
Definitely not. They make a point of saying that it's often found in the small, everyday moments. The quick check-in text, the helping hand with a chore,
Yeah.
the shared laugh over dinner.
Yeah.
Those seemingly insignificant acts that weave together this tapestry of love and support.
It's those little things, those threads of connection that accumulate over time and create something truly special.
Yeah.
And it's not limited to just our immediate family either.
Right.
Emma and James talk about how that bond extends across generations. The stories we inherit, the lessons passed down, the love that echoes through time, it connects us to something bigger than ourselves.
It's like we're all part of this ongoing narrative,
Yeah.
this legacy that stretches back through the generations and continues on through those who come after us.
Yeah, John actually uses a really beautiful metaphor. He describes family as this evolving entity, adaptable and ever-changing, yet always rooted in that core of love and support.
It's such an apt description, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
Families aren't static. They grow, they change, they face challenges and celebrate triumphs. And through it all, that underlying bond of love adapts and endures.
Adapts and endures, so powerful.
So for our listeners out there,
Yeah.
what would you say are some of the most significant takeaways from this deep dive into family?
Oh, that's a good question.
What really resonated with you?
I think it's crucial to remember that family in all its forms is a wellspring of meaning and connection, whether it's the family we're born into, the one we create, or a blend of both. These relationships provide a sense of belonging, support, and love that profoundly shapes who we are.
And building on that, I think it's about recognizing that family isn't a passive concept. It's something we actively cultivate. It requires nurturing communication, forgiveness, and a willingness to show up for each other, even when it's hard.
Yeah.
But like Emma and James emphasize, the rewards are immeasurable.
Absolutely.
And it really makes you think about, the legacy we're creating both for ourselves and for future generations. And that brings me to a final thought-provoking question for you, our listeners.
I do love a good question to ponder.
Yeah.
What do you have for us?
Well, inspired by Emma and James's insights on the importance of tradition, I'm curious if you could start one new tradition with your family, whether it's your, relatives, close friends, chosen family, what would it be? Something that strengthens your bond, creates lasting memories, and maybe even becomes part of your family's story for years to come.
That's a fantastic question to reflect on. It goes beyond just the tradition itself.
Yeah.
It's about actively shaping the dynamics of our families, choosing to invest in those connections,
Right.
and building something meaningful that reflects, who we are.
Exactly. It could be something as simple as a weekly game night, or a monthly potluck, or an annual trip to a new place. Or maybe it's something more unique to your family's interests, like starting a book club or volunteering for a cause you care about.
Yeah.
Or even creating your own family Olympics with silly games and homemade medals.
I love that. Right.
The possibilities are truly endless.
They are.
The key is, like you touched on earlier, that it resonates with everyone involved.
Yeah.
It should be something that brings joy, fosters connection, and maybe even sparks a few laughs along the way.
For sure. And it's never too late to start a new tradition or breathe life back into an old one. Family, as we've explored today, is a constantly evolving journey. And we have the beautiful power to make it as rich and meaningful as we choose.
Beautifully said. I think that's a perfect note to end on. And it's been such a pleasure diving deep, into the heart of what makes family so special.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into all things family. We hope you've gained some valuable insights, maybe even a little inspiration to create some heartwarming moments with your loved ones.
Until next time, keep diving deep and embracing those connections that matter most.